Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
While celebrating Irish and American history, culture and politics, the annual Kennedy Summer School will take place from August 31st to September 2nd. One of the organisers, Charles Larkin, joins us now to tell us about what attendees can expect from this year's event. Charles, will be discussing how economics and politics will merge to form interesting insights into Irish-US relations at this year's Kennedy Summer School. But first, I'd like to get an insight into your own background.
Good morning. Glad to be here. Well, my own background is that I'm an academic. I'm originally from the States, and I've been living in Ireland since 1998. And my academic work is in economics and public policy. And I've had a varied career working at times in Leinster House on public policy matters, and then going back into academic life at different points. And at the moment, I'm the Director of Research at the Institute for Policy Research at the University of Bath. And I'm also the chair of the governing body of the Technological University in Dublin.
So as an economist, what are the challenges and opportunities that you foresee, both from a domestic and a global perspective?
Well, from the domestic perspective, the most pressing challenge is the fact that Ireland is, to put it in simple terms, has outgrown its clothes. The infrastructure of the country can no longer keep up with its population, and that this is creating stressors in the overall economy, which is eroding at competitiveness. More generally, there are the specters of inflation. There's the ongoing instability brought about by the war in Ukraine. But there's also the sort of megatrends of the impact, both direct and indirect, of climate change and the effect of automation, artificial intelligence on the future employment and skills needs of the economy.
You mentioned the term competitiveness, and I'm wondering, were you surprised by the recent ranking that Ireland got as the second most competitive economy in the world in the 2023 IMD World Competitive Rankings?
I wasn't surprised. Ireland is a highly competitive economy. If you look at Ireland's multinationals, they're amongst the most productive in the world. Productivity in Ireland is very high. Now, of course, that must be tempered by the fact that there are certain accountancy rules that are put in place which sort of distorts those figures. But overall, when one looks at the Irish economy, it is a competitive environment. It is driven by a lot of high-end skills. It's not just about taxes. If one looks at the domestic economy, that becomes a little bit more on the lower productivity side. It's not as dynamic as you would find in the multinational sector. And really, that's one of the reasons why we're having a conversation at the Kennedy Summer School about the economic prospects for the southeast of the country. Because between Ireland's current spatial bias towards Dublin, the increase in the price of housing, the limited amount of housing, even if you could afford it, that's available, and the fact that the southeast has historically been a low-performing region of the Irish economy, it's important to sort of think about what is necessary to move the southeast up the value chain, to take advantage of changes that have taken place as a result of Brexit, the fact that Wexford is now the entrepot to continental Europe, so much so that a new honorary consul has been set up by the French embassy in Wexford town, and that there are dynamic, high value-added sectors of the Irish economy located in Wexford, such as Lake Region. And that now Wexford, for the first time, has its own university in the form of Southeast Technological University between its soon-to-be-open campus in Wexford and campuses in Waterford and Carlow.
As the chair of the Economic Forum at the Kennedy Summer School this year, where are the opportunities for Wexford as a result, apart from Rosslare Europort?
Beyond Rosslare Europort, it's very much the case that with the presence of existing high-tech companies, there is the ability to bring in more high value-added high-earning employment into the region. The attractiveness of the region in terms of its availability of housing and educational resources will assist in people moving away from an older dormitory approach to living in Wexford to one in which they will live and work in Wexford, especially in a hybrid working environment, which has become the norm post-COVID. So in many ways, the situation for the Southeast region is one which will be changing from where it has been previously a place losing graduates and used only for dormitory purposes to one where people can relocate and have their working life and their private life simultaneously in the same place. There's also, it's important to remember that it's not just all about high-tech jobs and finance jobs. There are also existing employment opportunities that are in the logistics sector, as well as in the agri-food sector, which is why we have Nolan Transport and Tirlan Glambia speaking at the Kennedy Summer School, in addition to the CEO of Lake Region, the president of the Southeast Technological University, and the Wexford County manager, all to be concluded by a statement by the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, who will be discussing matters related to inflation as well as SME lending and looking at how to ensure that you have successful SMEs in the regions providing employment growth opportunities for the Irish economy.
And how important do you think it will be for County Wexford to have a fully functioning Southeast Technological University campus with research capability, capacity and activity before we're in a position to attract significant IDA investment into the county?
I think that a campus of SETU in Wexford will be an important part of expanding those numbers and really embedding that knowledge-based economy into the county. But at the end of the day, the creation of a technological university at Waterford and Carlow will dramatically lift the possibilities of engagement. Southeast Technological University is working very hard on trying to expand its research activities, become much more active in areas of pharmaceutical research and engagement with the pharmaceutical sector in Ireland, which will assist in those types of jobs that you're speaking about. At the same time, and we hope this is the case at some point in the near future, that the career pathways within the technological university will change, which will allow for professors. And once professors are put in place, they will be able to apply for avenues of European Research Council funding and Horizon Europe funding, which up until this point, the technological universities or the old institutes of technology really did not have access to. And with the connectivity that comes with those pan-European projects and European Research Council funding, you also get the prestige that attracts the types of high-end FDI-orientated employers and FDI-based employers of the type that you were mentioning.
Let's move on now to the overall theme of this year's Kennedy Summer School.
Well, we're looking at a whole set of different dimensions, but we're focusing quite heavily on the role of show business in politics as we're going into the next cycle of Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. We're going to have a special section on celebrity politics chaired by Sarah Carey. And we have Terry Prone and Jared Howland speaking at that, as well as guests from the UK and the US. We have Mairead McGuinness this year speaking at the luncheon at the JFK Arboretum. And for those that haven't attended the luncheon before, this one's going to be particularly special because it's a recreation of the meal that was set up for JFK when he visited 60 years ago. We're also going to be talking about 50 years of being within the European Union. We've got Alex White. We have Patrick Honohan, the former governor of the Central Bank. Lucinda Crichton, former minister, Ray Bassett, former ambassador to Canada for Ireland, and Suzanne Lynch, Politico Brussels. We also have a discussion about the changing face of this country, that the changes that have taken place as a result of the census and how we've really had an incredible expansion of the number of people who were not born in this country who are now a part of it, myself included. With Pat Gatling, the former Commissioner for Human Rights for New York City, Gary Murphy, Professor of Law and Government at DCU, and then we have Jason Sherlock, former footballer, speaking at that. We then have a reflection on Bobby Kennedy, on Brian Donnelly of the Donnelly Visa, on Speaker McCormick from the U.S. Congress. And I think for those that really enjoy politics, we have a great event at noon on Saturday the 2nd, and that is a conversation with James Carville and Mary Matalin, with Audrey Carville of RTE. James Carville, famously the Democratic strategist for Bill Clinton, came up with the line, "It's the economy, stupid." So for those of you that enjoy U.S. politics, that enjoy trying to figure out what's going to happen next, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And importantly, James and Mary are a mixed couple. James is a Democrat and Mary is a Republican, and they're going to talk a bit about how it is to be part of two different parties and remain married.
And you mentioned also about the role of show business in politics. I wonder, is that a fad or is it a more permanent fixture?
We looked at this from a couple of different directions, and we have Catherine Brownell from Purdue University, who's published a couple of books on this question of celebrity in presidential politics. And it's really been a feature going back, 70 plus years in American politics. So while the nature of the celebrity changes, the role of celebrity in politics has been there and has been there in a very big way since the advent of mass television. And I don't think it's going away anytime soon. And that's something which even the people running the news media networks in 2016 were very conscious of, that there was this dichotomy between what is appropriate for the running of a presidential election and what is appropriate in order to bring in ratings.
From an economic perspective, how does a festival like the Kennedy Summer School benefit the town of New Ross and the greater county?
Well, it provides an enormous amount of influx of individuals into New Ross town itself. There's a lot of media coverage, a lot of print media, radio, hopefully some television coverage of what is going on. It also links up Wexford and New Ross to a very wide network of different actors. So, while the conference has been very generously supported over the years by Wexford County Council, the Office of Public Works, Fáilte Ireland, it also has been generously sponsored by Boston College and Purdue University. And it enables Wexford and New Ross to get a deeper and more meaningful link with major universities in the United States.
And finally, Charles, if any of our listeners are interested in attending the summer school, how can they do so?
So the easiest way to attend the summer school is to go to kennedysummerschool.ie, and that will enable you to see the schedule and to purchase tickets.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Charles Larkin from the Kennedy Summer School. We've no doubt that this important event will be another resounding success.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.